Penguins, Avalanche. Crosby versus MacKinnon. How did round one of Crosby versus MacKinnon go in Pittsburgh between the Penguins and the Avalanche? Let's talk Pens. Let's talk Avs right here on this episode of Penguins Postgame. I'm Scott McGregor. It's time for Penguins Postgame. Let's get rolling. You're locked in to Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins play here on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Hey, shoot, he scores! The bingo game is ready to roll. Welcome to Penguins Postgame. PPG for PGH. And you'd have to be here to believe it. Here is your host, Scott McGregor. What's going on, Penguins Nation? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Pittsburgh Penguins Postgame on Sports for Beginners, the podcast. Welcome to Penguins Postgame. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Penguins Postgame. Okay, it's not that exciting because we lost another game, but good news, we defeated Toronto on Saturday night, 5-2. If you haven't already checked that out, please go ahead and check it out when the episode becomes available. We will have that as a link in the description of this episode. But there's a lot for us to discuss, so let's not waste any time and get straight to it. Our venue tonight, PPG Paints Arena in downtown Pittsburgh on 5th Avenue. Head coaches for this game: Mike Sullivan against Jared Bednar. Jared Bednar and Mike Sullivan are our head coaches for the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Colorado Avalanche. They are head coached. The Avalanche are head coached by Jared Bednar. Mr. Jared, if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong, I apologize. So we're going to go with Jared B, in case I pronounced anyone's name wrong. Same thing goes for the goaltenders, which what we're going to get to right now before we jump into our game scorers and our penalty takers. All that coming up here in just a matter of moments before we take our first break. We should at least be able to get through the first period to the second period of the goal scorers, and we're going to add the penalties inside to see where things take us. With that said, let's go between the pipes. All right, let's go between the pipes. Let's go between the pipes, eh? Here we go. Tonight, the backup, as you heard on Penguins pre-show, is Alex Nedeljkovic for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Trent Miner is the backup for the Colorado Avalanche. Scott Wedgwood, our goaltender in net for the Avalanche tonight. What a day he had tonight. And on the other side of the ice, Tristan Jarry back in net for Pittsburgh. So it was 39 and 50, backing up 63 and 35. The matchup between the Pipes was 35 versus 63. Scott Wedgwood taking on Tristan Jarry tonight at PPG Paints Arena. That is our matchup between the Pipes. So let's talk about this game tonight. Let's start with our scorers, but first we're going to actually start with the penalty takers. For this one, we're going to start with our penalty takers. And in the first period, only one penalty to be called in this game, as Ryan Graves of the Penguins goes 2 minutes for high sticking at 2 minutes and 6 seconds in. The Avalanche get the game's first power play. Meanwhile, they don't score on that power play, but the Penguins aren't as lucky after getting lucky on the penalty kill, which we'll talk about later in the game stats. But they do get a big kill in the early portion of this hockey game. However, Nathan McKinnon says, okay, Penguins avoided a power play goal by us. Let me go ahead and make sure we don't stay tied for long. And that's exactly what Nathan McKinnon did. Now, Nathan McKinnon did get an assist, and Mikko Rantanen did score a goal. He actually scored 3 goals in this game, Mikko did. But we're going to get to that in a second. The first goal for the Avalanche tonight was scored by Nathan McKinnon, his 10th of the season. Mikko on the assist, number 23 on the year for him. And his first of the season. Devon Taves also picking up an assist, his 9th of the season. And the Avalanche out in front 6 minutes and 31 seconds into the game. 1-0. Avalanche over the Pens. Late in the period, but enough time for this one. This is the first of 3 goals scored by Mikko Rantanen. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, Mikko, I apologize. Cale Makar on the assist. His 27th of the season. Mikko Rantanen's 16th goal of the season. Puts the Oilers, sorry, not the Oilers, the Avalanche. I'm thinking of the Edmonton Oilers. Scott, focus. He puts the Avalanche out in front by 2 before the first period ends. So you got a goal from Mikko Rantanen and Nathan McKinnon, and a Ryan Graves penalty that the Penguins kill off. Second period we go. Shots after 20, 10-8 in favor of the Avalanche. Penguins outshot by just 2 goals. 2 assists, I should say. 2 shots on goal. Okay. Whether it was assists or goals, they're down by 2. But when it comes to the shots on goal, they're down by 2 shots on goal after 20 minutes. There we go. Okay. Moving on. Second period rolls around, and a couple of penalties coming in the second period. First one to the rookie for the Colorado Avalanche. Ivan going to the box 2 minutes for tripping, 1 minute and 47 seconds in. This is when I said to my brother, as we were watching both the Maple Leaf game and the Penguin game tonight, is it just me, or are the Avalanche and the Penguins going to take a penalty literally a few minutes into the game, into a game's period, I should say, before any goals get scored? That was something I didn't expect to happen in this game tonight. But it did, and you can't do anything about it. The Avalanche do score a goal a couple minutes later, 5 minutes and 46 seconds later to be exact, before the Penguins take their first penalty of the second period. But before the Avalanche do score, they take a penalty. The rookie Ivan taking a penalty here for interference. Sorry, tripping is the call. It was tripping. And on that call, a few minutes later, 5 minutes and 46 seconds later, Mikko Rantanen has scored his second goal of the game and puts the Avalanche out in front 3-0. Calvin DeHaan on the assist, his 6th of the season, scored the Avalanche's first goal. Now he's going to get an assist on Mikko Rantanen's second goal of the season. No, not of the season. Second goal of the game, 17th goal of the season. And this was another thing that stands out to me, but we'll talk about that more after we go over it. 33-33. No, let me rephrase that. Nathan McKinnon's 33rd assist of the season is on the Mikko Rantanen second goal of the game, 17th goal of the season, and Calvin DeHaan picking up his 6th assist of the season. All that being said, the Avalanche on top 3-0. Not for long. Just 2 minutes later and 21 seconds later, Cody Glass scores his first goal as a Pittsburgh Penguin player. And his first goal of the season, the Pens are on the board. Uh-oh, here come the Pens. Evgeny Malkin picking up assist number 19 on the season. Chris Letang picking up assist number 7 on the season for him. 7 minutes and 21 seconds in. And the Penguins are on the board here in the second period. Uh-oh, here come Pittsburgh. Here comes the Penguins. Late in the period, the Penguins score again. Here come the Pens. But it's already 3-0. It was already 3-0, so it's 3-1 at this point. 18 minutes and 53 seconds into the game's second period. And the former Toronto Maple Leaf struck on Saturday. He strikes again. His 7th goal of the season. EK65 Erik Karlsson on the assist, his 17th of the season. And the Rusty Razor, Brian Rust, on the assist, number 7 of the year for Brian Rust. And, of course, that would make it 3-2 Avalanche. Avalanche 3, Penguins 2. Here come the Penguins. Before the third period could even begin, and before we get into it, we're going to take a break. But before we get there, let's at least wrap up our penalty summary for the second period. So, coming back a couple minutes earlier, after the goal by Cody Glass, we see Michael Bunting and Owen Pickering take penalties. Owen Pickering took a penalty, his first penalty in his NHL career. It's a delay of game penalty on Owen Pickering, 9 minutes and 55 seconds in. Michael Bunting taking a penalty as well, 2 minutes for interference at 13 minutes and 26 seconds in. Penguins on the penalty kill, which, by the way, the penalty kill was absolutely outmatching the power play by both squads tonight. And a little later, a lot went down in this one. Drew O'Connor has to serve a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty served to the Penguin goaltender, Tristan Jarry. So Drew O'Connor will have to serve a 2-minute minor for Tristan Jarry for unsportsmanlike conduct on Tristan Jarry. Tristan Jarry, a little unsportsmanlike conduct by Jarry tonight. Served by Drew O'Connor. Parker Kelly was the recipient of that unsportsmanlike conduct. And speaking of Parker Kelly, he and Sam M pick up the final penalties to be determined around that same timeline. Same timeline, I should say. Parker is getting a 2-minute minor for goaltender interference at the same time as Tristan Jarry's unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, 16 minutes and 44 seconds. Also at that time, and the Penguins would get a power play out of this. I'm surprised it wasn't a 5-on-3. But Parker Kelly going to the box for goaltender interference. Sam M picking up a 2-minute minor for high sticking. Now, I'm not sure if it was goaltender interference that was the power play to the Penguins, or if it was the high sticking minor to Sam Malinsky. If it was Malinsky, and Sam, if I pronounced the name wrong, I know I had it right earlier, but if I pronounced it wrong, I apologize. But I'm not sure if it's your penalty that gave the Penguins a power play or the goaltender interference penalty that gave the Penguins the penalty, or power play, excuse me. Anywho, shots after 40 minutes of play, 2 periods of play. 8 for the Avalanche, 7 for the Penguins after 40 minutes. Shots for the game, 18 for the Avalanche and 15 for the Penguins. Penguins still heavily being outshot, 18-15. Well, I mean, technically in the first period, they weren't outshot. It was only 10-8. in the shot total, if we look at it. Anyways, third period, we're going to get to in a second. But first, let's take our first time out of the program. When we come back, how did the third period go for the Pens? Did they bounce back? Did they find a way to win this hockey game? Right now, it's at the time as we take our break, it is 3-2 Avalanche over the Pens. Avalanche 3, Pens 2. We'll break down how the third period went. Who got penalized? And our final total of shots, along with other game stats. And before we take our second break of the program, we'll get you into the stars of the game. We call the 3 stars of the game. Brought to you by, if you're listening to it on the Penguins radio network, your neighborhood Ford stores in Pittsburgh. Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. We are not sponsored by Ford, but as I've said before, that could be something down the road. Back with more, including 3 stars of the game, the final game totals, and the third period scorers and penalty takers. Did Mikko Rantanen score his third goal of the game in this 6-2 win over the Penguins? Did he get a hat trick? You're going to find that out in just a matter of moments. Stick with us.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, 2 powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations, as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
Penguins 2, Avalanche 6. And how did that come to be? Early on, after the goaltenders and the head coaches in Mike Sullivan and Jared Bednar, we got right into it with the first period and second period scoring and penalties. Let's roll on here into the third period, where it's now 3-2 in favor of the Avalanche. after Michael Bunting and Cody Glass get the Penguins on the board in the second period. Reminder that the shots at this point in time, before the third period began, were 18-15 in favor of the Avalanche. Valerie Nushkinin, Valerie N, we're going to call it Valerie N. If I pronounce it wrong, I apologize. But you know what? Let's go with VN. VN gets the Avalanche their first goal of the third period. It is also the fourth goal they would score out of the many goals scored in this game tonight between the Pens and the Avalanche, which we'll talk about in a second. But this is VN's seventh goal. This is VN's seventh goal of the season. Nathan McKinnon on the assist. He has one already this game on Mikko Rantina's second goal of the game. Sorry, first goal of the game. No, I had that right. Second goal of the game. I had that right. Second goal of the game. So there we go. He now gets his third assist of the game and number 34 of the season for him. Yeah, that is the third assist of the hockey game for Nathan McKinnon. No, that's the second assist, of the hockey game for Nathan McKinnon. Sorry. My bad. I messed that up. Sorry. That's his second assist of the hockey game, but 34th of the season. 3 minutes and 23 seconds in. I mean, that kind of happened before we get to penalties anyways. So moving along, as we actually do touch on penalties in this part of the third period, the Avalanche do suffer a bench minor for too many men on the ice in the third period. This would have to be served by the rookie, Ivan. His second penalty of the game, but the first bench one he has to serve of his career. So he got his first penalty of his career, but he also got his first bench penalty he had to serve of the season and of his career. That comes at 4 minutes and just a second. 4 minutes and a second. 4 minutes and 1 second into the third period. The Avalanche continue pouring on the goals, but not until after another Avalanche penalty. Giovanni Smith, 2 minutes for tripping against Evgeny Malkin, who draws the penalty. 9 minutes and 48 seconds into the third period. After that, the Avalanche continued to score. At this point in time, after the early goal by VN. It is 4-2. That's VN. It's now 4-2 in favor of the Avalanche. They still have a lead. Now they have a lead by a pair, though, just like they did before. Can they get it by 3? They're going to need 2 goals to do so. And Mikko Rantanen and Arturi Lehkonen say, oh, sure thing, let me do that. Let me go ahead and do that. Arturi Lehkonen, or AL, as I'm going to say for short, he gets his 8th goal of the season, makes it 5-2 Avalanche over the Pens. And on that, Mikko Rantanen, he's having a night. An assist on the MacKinnon goal, the first MacKinnon goal, and only goal of the game. He then gets an assist on this goal, his second assist of the night. And to top it all off, he's got 3 goals in the game. I wonder how many points he got tonight. We're going to find that out in just a matter of moments. But anyways, rolling on. That's the 24th assist of the season for Mikko Rantanen. His second assist of the hockey game. Now it's Nathan McKinnon's 3rd assist of the hockey game. That's his 35th assist of the season. And number 3 in this hockey game, he gets an assist on Mikko's goal in the second period. Picks up an assist on VN's goal, and then he picks up another one on AL's goal. And then he picks up the 4th assist of the hockey game for him. As the Avalanche score again, their 6th goal they've scored in this game. It's Mikko Rantanen with the empty net goal, his 3rd goal of the hockey game and 18th of the season. So we got his 16th goal of the season, his 17th goal of the season, and his 18th goal of the season, all in this hockey game. Nathan McKinnon gets his 4th assist of the game and 36th assist of the season. Devon Toews, picking up his 2nd assist of the game after picking up an assist on Nathan McKinnon's only goal of the game. This assist on the Rantanen goal is his 10th of the season and 2nd of the game. All in all, the Penguins able to they're not able to find a way to come back after scoring twice in that second period, in the third period. The Avalanche go on cruise control and score 3 straight goals after scoring 2 in the first, 1 in the second. They go scoring 3 straight in the third to ultimately pick up a big night and a big win to keep their winning streak alive. Now, the Penguins did start this game with a winning streak of their own, looking to make it 2. But instead, the winning streak that continues from a 2-game winning streak to a 3-game winning streak is the Colorado Avalanche. The Penguins had a 4-game winning streak shattered in Madison Square Garden at the hands of the New York Rangers, who were without Jacob Trouba after that first meeting against the Rangers, where they were with Jacob Trouba. A lot more to come on what's next for the Avalanche and what's next for the Penguins a little later. But as I said, when we broke up the third period from the second period and the first period scoring and penalties, now it's time for us to go take a look at our wraparound totals. After 3 periods of play, after regulation, the Penguins on the right side of the shot, but for the game, not so much. Well, actually, they do tie it. But you're going to know what I mean in a second. They actually win this period in the shot total 12-9, outshooting the Avalanche, not really, but outshooting the Avalanche by just 3 shots. Wow. 12-9. I mean, let me just do the math here just to make sure I have that right. 12-9. Let's see. Yep, just 3 shots. Just 3 shots. Meanwhile, we're all even in the shots on goal to wrap up the game at 27 apiece. 27 for the Avalanche and 27 for the Penguins. Face-offs tonight. The Penguins won 42 out of 68, winning 61.8% of the face-off. The Avalanche won 26 out of 68 of the face-offs, for a face-off percentage tonight in the face-off dot of 38.2%. In the penalty box minutes tonight, the Avalanche spent 10 minutes in the penalty box. The Penguins spent 8 minutes in the penalty box. Both power plays end the night 0 for 3 for the Avalanche and 0 for 4 for the Penguins. But their penalty kill for the Avalanche, is perfect 4 for 4. And the penalty kill for the Penguins strikes again. Perfect 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. The Penguins were out hit by the Avalanche by 6, 16-10 in the hits category. In the block shots category, they blocked 16 out of the 15 shots that were blocked by the Avalanche. The Avalanche finishing the game with 15 block shots, 16 giveaways, 8 takeaways. Pittsburgh, 16 block shots, 15 giveaways. And just like the Avalanche, they finished with just 8 giveaways in this hockey game. All right. Without going over that thing I mentioned before the break when we got to the 3 stars about what they are sponsored by if you listen to the Penguins radio network, which is your neighborhood Pittsburgh Ford stores. Let's just jump into that, shall we? Here we go. Your third star tonight, with 1 point, 1 goal, and no assist, it's Penguins left winger forward number 8, Michael Bunting. Okay, I can get around that. Second star tonight, 5 points, 4 assists, and 1 goal in the hockey game. Give it up for center number 29, Nathan McKinnon. Nathan McKinnon, second star of the game, and the first star of the game. 3 goals, 2 assists, just like Nathan McKinnon. 5 points, equipped with that. It's number 96, Mikko Rantanen. Mikko Rantanen. Mikko Rantanen, Nathan McKinnon, and Michael Bunting, the 3 stars of tonight's game. And both Mikko and Nathan with 5 points, including 4 assists for Nathan, 1 goal. 3 goals for Mikko Rantanen, 2 assists, and the rest would speak for itself. All right. We're about to take a next break. When we come back after this break, we're going to talk about the shake of the game. I'm going to get to a game puck of the game. And then we're going to get down to what's next for Pittsburgh. What's next for the Avalanche? All that coming up soon. But before we take the break, let's take a look at some of the action today. We're not going to take a look at a lot of the action, but we are going to take a look at just a bit of the action besides our game. So, as I mentioned early on, I was watching the Devils and the Leaf game as well as our Penguins game of conversation between the Pens and the Avalanche. The Maple Leaf game ended in overtime as the Leafs win 2-1 over the New Jersey Devils despite not having the lead right in the beginning of the game, and get this, going scoreless after 20 minutes of play. In Columbus, the Philadelphia Flyers pick up a 5-3 win over the Blue Jackets as they tried to do what Pittsburgh was trying to do against the Avalanche. Pull off a comeback. Not the case in Columbus, Ohio tonight. Also final, the Winnipeg Jets demolished the Boston Bruins 8-1 in Winnipeg. The Calgary Flames come into the game in Nashville against the Predators and leave Nashville with a 4-3 win. And the hero of the game, Jonathan Huberdeau, picking up his 10th goal of the season as the Flames win that one 4-3. Islanders fall to the Kings 3-1. Mikey Anderson ending the game there, his 4th goal of the season. Adrian Kempe on the assist, his 14th of the season. Sharks come into Carolina, and they will leave on the L train as they take a 3-2 loss to the Hurricanes. All the other action going on right now, including Chandler Stevenson with the only goal in the first intermission between the Kraken and the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. Also ongoing. We're gonna halt it there, and I will come back to it before we wrap up the program. But down in Edmonton, we have a good one going on, and it looks like, again, we're going to see an own goal. So I don't know what the goaltender of the Lightning was thinking, but Leon Draisaitl is credited with a goal for this reason. And it's because, guess what? The Lightning goaltender put the puck in his own net. And is that Vasilevsky? What are you doing, Andre Vasilevsky? Wow, okay. Interesting. More on that and the situation going on in Edmonton when Penguins postgame returns. We're almost at the end of the program. The shake of the game, my play of the game, and possibly a game puck of the game coming up next. As well as, unless we take a 30-second timeout, which is probably going to be the case, we are going to talk about what's next for the Avalanche, what's next for the Pens. The one thing we know that isn't next, at least not for a while, until the new year, is the Penguins headed to Denver, Colorado to take on the Avalanche. I really wish it was, but we're talking about like what the next 5 games are. So that is still to come in a segment if we take a 30-second break. But we're going to take a break right now, and after that break, it's time for the shake of the game, the play of the game, and game puck of the game. Plus, we'll take a look. As I said, we're going to step back in and take a look at other action minus the Kraken and the Panthers game. But we're going to take a look at those games going on, and in particular, the Leon Draisaitl unassisted goal due to one of the most ridiculous plays I have ever seen in a hockey game. I'm going to take a look at this when we get out of here, or tomorrow probably, when I'm putting this show together for you to get out. Because we got like a ton of shows to get to you from Penguins postgame. But be sure to stick with us. We'll be back right after this. Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Welcome back to Penguins postgame. Once again, Penguins fans, I thought we would be celebrating a 2-point party on 5th Avenue, but instead, it's a loss to the Colorado Avalanche. Good news for the Penguins. They will not play the Avalanche again until March 4, 2025. March 4th, 2025. Now, I'm going to get into this in a little bit, but I will tell you to note the start time. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. That is the time, and the game is the game is in Denver, Colorado, at the home of the Avalanche. Penguins will be looking for a season series tie when they wrap it all up in March. Before we get there, there's some next 5 games we got to get to for the Penguins and the Avalanche. Before we get there, time now for our play of the game, which is brought to you by, and just a disclaimer, we are not sponsored by this because it is a sponsor of the Pittsburgh Penguins, but we don't have any sponsors as of yet. But this is brought to you by, on the Penguins Radio Network, Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh's entertainment destination. If the sponsor has changed, Pittsburgh Penguins, I know I'm not sponsored by any of your... I know my program here on Sports for Beginners is not sponsored by any of your founding partners, including S&T Bank, a founding partner of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Nor is it sponsored by what the 3 Stars are sponsored by, Pittsburgh's neighborhood Ford dealers. As I mentioned during the 3 Stars, Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And of course, the play of the game on the radio network, brought to you by Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh's entertainment destination. But if that one has changed, please, Pittsburgh, reach out to me. I'm looking forward to checking that out, and I might be looking to sponsor the Penguin down the road. So if there's any Penguins office listeners listening to this show right now, even as we navigate through another 82 game season, I know you probably don't have a lot of time to do that, but if you're listening to the show right now, let me know. Send me an email, either on my personal email preferably, but if you want to do it through the podcast email, send me an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231 at gmail.com. That is my podcast email. And that's the same thing for the fans as well. And that's how you can get in on the 3 Stars of the game, the play of the game, shake of the game, and of course, the game puck of the game. Those 2 segments I just mentioned, the game puck of the game and the shake of the game, coming up in just a few minutes' time. But without further ado, and even though I'm in the season of giving, all credit to the NHL app and those involved in this game, the Colorado Avalanche and the Pittsburgh Penguins. We don't own any of this, but even though the Penguins lost this game 6-2, my play of the game goes back to when the Penguins finally got on the board, because I really thought this was a really nice setup by the Penguins. Nice little big pass by the one, the only, Christopher Letang. And then Evgeny Malkin gets it from Letang, and brings it over to Cody Glass. So, without further ado, let's bring you Cody Glass's first goal of the season, and wait for it. Not only that, his first goal as a Pittsburgh Penguin. That's good enough for my play of the game. Here are the men who called it on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Colby Armstrong, the Arm Dog, and Josh Getzoff. Shout out to Josh. Love what you do on a game day when it comes down to what you call game day question of the day. Shout out to Josh. Speaking of that, I'm going to throw it over to Josh and Colby for my play of the game audio. Credit going to the Avalanche, Penguins, and the NHL.
Penguin defenseman lifts it down to Avalanche territory. Malinsky eludes the check from Tomasino. Swings it around. Letang intercepts there. Go past to Malkin. Back across. He's got a man. Glass scores! First goal in Pittsburgh, black and gold for Cody Glass, and the Penguins cut into that Avalanche lead.
First as a Penguin, and you see this play work itself out right here. Cody Glass just staying above the puck. What a pass by Letang over to Malkin. And then that rotation.
Cody Glass and his first goal as a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. On the call on Sportsnet Pittsburgh, Josh Getzoff, and I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Josh, but I believe you were joined by the Arm Dog, Colby Armstrong, who always joins Paul Steigerwald early on in the Penguins live pregame show on the Penguins radio network. And you guys do some excellent, great content there on the Penguins radio network. I look forward to listening to it every chance I get. Even if I can find the game on TV, on Sportsnet, which is where this game was on. And I'm glad I got Josh and Colby tonight on Sportsnet. Really interesting night. Unfortunately, we lost the game, but that's okay. Cody Glass is I'm not sure why the captions here changed things up here, especially when Colby Armstrong was talking, but I'm pretty sure everyone knows what he was saying, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows what Josh was saying when it comes down to that. But with that being said, that is good enough for my play of the game. And at that point in time, the Penguins were down 3-0, and Cody Glass made it 3-1. And then just a few moments later, a couple plays later, after a penalty or so, the former Toronto Maple Leaf, Michael Bunting, strikes again. Time now for our Shake of the Game, inspired by Jake Gensel when he was a Pittsburgh Penguin hockey player for the Penguins, and brought out this ad that the Penguins are still using for the official milkshake of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Milkshake Factory. Every time Jake Gensel scored when he was a Penguin, you got half off Jake Shakes at the Milkshake Factory the next day at the Milkshake Factory. But since the trade, the Penguins have gotten Brian Rust to do it. Well, okay, they haven't really gotten Brian Rust to do it, but Brian Rust has stepped up to do an ad with the Milkshake Factory for, guess what? Now, every time Brian Rust scores, you get half off Rusty Shakes at the Milkshake Factory after every game. But enough about that. We're going to get to it, and we're only going to do one player from each squad. But I'm not really going to worry about our stats because they kind of speak for themselves. Tonight's Shake of the Game recipient for the Colorado Avalanche. 5 points for Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen. Make them worthy of this kind of thing. But tonight, my recipient for the Avalanche is going to go to their goaltender, Scott Wedgwood. Because I thought Scott Wedgwood played absolutely fantastic tonight. Yes, he gave up 2 goals. And yes, they were all at even strength because no one scored on the power play. But 25 saves on 27 shots. Wow. Oh, and not to mention his save percentage. 926 at the end of the game. Playing a whole 60 minutes. Not too bad. All right. Well, with that all being said, let's move over to my Penguins recipient tonight of the Shake of the Game. And tonight, that's going to go to the former Toronto Maple Leaf, who once again struck with a goal. It's going to go to Michael Bunting. A goal, a point. He was a -1. Spent 2 minutes in the penalty box, and I'm not gonna go any further than that. But 2 minutes in the penalty box for Michael Bunting today was a -1, a goal, and no assists, and 1 point as a result. And yeah, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do more over the course of our program. But those are the Shake of the Game recipients. Before we get down to the game puck of the game for each guy, quick little check-in. The Edmonton Oilers game has gone final. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, only guys with the goals for Edmonton. It was first on the Draisaitl goal. It was an own goal by Lightning goaltender Andrei Vasilevsky. But speaking of Jake Gensel, he does get the Lightning on the board. And Connor McDavid got things started. So that game ends 2-1 in favor of the Oilers. Still on the go. We have a 3-2 lead for the Blues against the Canucks in the second intermission. The Minnesota Wild, speaking of which, are leading 3-2 in the third period against the Utah Hockey Club. And the Seattle Kraken are in the second intermission, tied at 1. Alexander Barkov tying things up in the second period at 1-1 apiece. So a game in the third period, another game's gone final. That is the game that we just talked about between the Oilers and the Lightning. The Blues are headed to the third period in the intermission currently. Same as the Kraken and the Panthers. But the Wild are hanging on to a 3-2 lead over Utah early third period. Blues and Canucks at 3-2. And in Seattle, we are tied at 1 goal apiece. And that brings me to tonight's game puck of the game. The game puck of the game for Pittsburgh is going to go to Cody Glass. Great to see him get his first goal as a Pittsburgh Penguin tonight. You never know when you're going to get your first NHL goal, and that's something that a lot of the Penguin rookies are looking for on the Pittsburgh Penguins that actually come into the league, into the NHL. You'll always remember your first NHL goal. But again, as I said, you never know when you're going to get your first NHL goal. So Cody Glass is going to get the game puck of the game for Pittsburgh. And tonight, for the same reason I gave him the shake of the game, we're going to give it to Avalanche goaltender Scott Wedgwood. Really nice game by him tonight, but I do want to touch on Tristan Jarry's stats here just before we take our final break of the program. Actually, you know what? We're going to wrap it up on this point here. But just before we start wrapping up, Jarry gave up 5 goals, all at even strength. He made 21 saves on 26 of the shots that he faced. Does play 59 minutes and 21 seconds, I should say. Not 5. He does play 59 minutes and 21 seconds. His save percentage, yeah, it's not exactly greater than Scott Wedgwood, but he ends the night tonight with an .808 save percentage. It makes me wonder now, who is going to get the start Thursday night against the Canadiens in Montreal? That brings us, as we won't check back into the NHL action now, that brings us, as we are wrapping up here, that brings up to what's next for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Well, let's think about that, shall we? Here's what's next for the Penguins. Let's start with the Pens. A Canadian trip, first to Montreal, then Saturday night, I should say. The Penguins are in the nation's capital of Canada. But on this Thursday night, they will play the Montreal Canadiens for the third and final time this season. That game at the Bell Center. I'll be with you for Penguins post-game after the game. And following our pre-recorded program of the 29th episode and final episode of Season 3 of Sports for Beginners. And even though Sports for Beginners is wrapping up, but the show won't be launched until the 20th of December, I'll still be bringing you Penguins postgame here on Sports for Beginners. That said, Saturday the 14th is action between the Penguins and the Senators. Then it's WWE night inside PPG Paints Arena as the Penguins host the Los Angeles Kings on the Monday night, on the Tuesday night, I should say, excuse me, the 17th of December. Then next Thursday, the 19th of December, a little late night action between the Penguins and the Predators, as the Penguins are in Nashville to take on the Predators. And then next Saturday night, the 21st of December, after this Saturday night when they play the Ottawa Senators, they'll be taking on the New Jersey Devils. So that should be a good one between the Devils and the Pens. And then the moment we've all been waiting for, it's time for the Battle of Pennsylvania. But one game at a time. So the next 5 is Montreal on Thursday, Ottawa this Saturday night. The Kings are here in Pittsburgh on next Tuesday night, December the 17th, 2024. Then the Penguins head out to Nashville to play the Predators on December 19th. And on December 21st, the following Saturday after the 19th, which is a Thursday, it's the Penguins versus the Devils. Now, let's talk about what's coming up for the Avalanche in their schedule. They're at home for 2 games before they kick off a 3-game road trip. before the Christmas break. The short Christmas break for them, because they'll be back at it just after the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th of December. Before they get to that, they've got Utah coming up on Thursday in Denver, Colorado at 9 p.m. Eastern. In action on Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern against the Nashville Predators. Then they head out to Vancouver to take on the Vancouver Canucks at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on Monday, December 16th. They've got back-to-back late-night action as they take on the San Jose Sharks Thursday night, December 19th, 2024 at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. In the Shark Tank, then they'll take on the Anaheim Ducks the next night, Friday night, at 10 p.m. Eastern in Anaheim. And last but certainly not least, let's just see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. We go as far as the trip to Anaheim after the trip to the Shark Tank. But by then, the Kraken are in town on the Sunday before Christmas. (8 p.m. Eastern). All right. So with that said, next time on Penguins Postgame as we wrap up here. Speaking of wrapping up, we wrap up the 3-game season series between the Montreal Canadiens and the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins have won the first 2 matchups of this game. Thomas will get you started up here with Penguins pre-show. I'll be there later to wrap it up and get you set up for our Penguins post-game show. But I've got the keys to victory. Thomas will have you for Penguins pre-show on the Thursday. I will have you for the post-game show. And then we'll get you ready for Ottawa versus Pittsburgh. But as I said earlier, 1 game at a time. That season series will start after the Canadian season series wraps up with the Montreal Canadiens. And on that note, the Penguins and the Avalanche have played 30 games here in this 82-game season. So not a lot of hockey left, but we aren't yet at the midway mark at the halfway point, I should say, of the program, at the halfway point of the season, I should say. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Down to 52 games each for the Penguins and the Avalanche. And meanwhile, for the Ottawa Senators, who will play the Penguins on Thursday night, they were not in action tonight. But by the time they are in action, they will have played 28 games this season, with the Penguins game on Thursday being their 29th and Pittsburgh's 31st game of the season. So in an 82-game season, we've covered 30 games this season. We're on a roll here. Can we do it 2 seasons in a row where we go through an entire 82-game season? I sure think we can, but that's it for us right now. We will see you on Thursday night for the Penguins and the Montreal Canadiens. And I stand corrected. That actually will be the Penguins' 31st game of the season when they play the Montreal Canadiens, which will leave them with 51 games to go. By the time they play Ottawa, they will have played their 32nd game of the season and be down to 50 games remaining in the season. My name is Scott McGregor. Thank you guys so much for joining us here today on the podcast. Have a great evening, everybody. Let's go Pens. And I look forward to catching up with you again next time on Penguins Postgame. Pens and Canadiens next time on Penguins Postgame. But first, Penguins pre-show gets us ready for the Pens and the Habs. Will the Penguins sweep the Habs and, in the process, get back in the win column? The answers to be found out on Thursday. But until then, good night, everybody. We will see you next time. The Penguins fall 6-2 to the Colorado Avalanche. We're talking Pens and Canadiens next time on Penguins Postgame. Good night, everybody, and let's go Pens. Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. You've just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners or visit the official Sports for Beginners podcast website. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay tuned. And remember that it is not goodbye, it is until next time. And you'd have to be here to believe it. Thank you so much for checking in to Penguins postgame this season, Penguins fans. Your host of the Sports for Beginners podcast, Scott McGregor. Here, I just wanted to let you guys know that it brings me great joy to bring you a show like the one we brought you last year. And it brings me even more joy with everything that has come out of it as well. As we try to navigate through quite a year with milestone after milestone in the month of October and the month of September. As mentioned again, my name is Scott McGregor, but if you have any questions, any concerns, any content you want aired on the program, please send me an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast 8231@gmail.com. Once again, that's sportsforbeginnerspodcast 8231@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast and for listening to this episode of Penguins Postgame. We will see you next time right here on Sports for Beginners. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again soon.